growth. And we've been working with YT on digitalization of supply chain, and so we had a project in the cargo business to digitalize all the paperwork that we have in the cargo business. But at the moment, if you want to have a very concrete example, because of the crisis, I can talk about the work that we are doing today about contactless travel application. I'm sure that you understand that 80% of our business has been shut down. The aviation system was never designed to be stopped, and it has been stopped within 2 weeks. And nobody has an idea how we will be able to restart actually this industry. I'm not going to talk about on the operational side the work that we have to do to maintain the certification of the aircraft, the certification of the pilot, and also to work with all the airports in order to maintain the good operating standing. So I will talk more about the passenger and the authorities. Our priority at the moment is really to restart our industry, and to restart our industry, we need to restore the confidence that both the authorities and the passenger have in the safety of flight. So passenger has to be convinced that it is safe to fly, that they will not be contaminated because they are taking a flight. And of course, the regulators and the authorities also, they have to be convinced also that they are not creating a risk for the passenger if they allow, international flights. So really, the key priority for us is about the trust and the confidence. And we have to do it in a way that also will protect the interests of the passenger, whether it is in terms of data privacy protection, or whether it is in terms also of cyber security. And so the same way that the payment industry has been able to move from cash to a contactless payment within 2 weeks, we want also to move to what we call contactless travel, which is a way to bring your own identity into the travel space, in order, of course, to reduce, all the contact that you will have, whether you are at the airport, whether you are in your flight, or when you arrive at your destination. And so the work that we are doing today, we are working with all our members and with all the aviation industry. So it's about collaboration. We are working also with the regulators. We are very close with ICAO, so the International Civil Aviation Organization, which is part of the UN and in charge of the commercial aviation, in order to define all the standards that will allow us to fly safely, and including biosafety. So the vision that we have is that we are developing an application, or we are working, actually we are not developing an application, we are working on standards, because the role of IATA is to define standards, is to identify innovation, to define standards, to allow this standard to be implemented through all the industry. And last thing, but which is the most important, also to allow the regulators to approve these standards. And so what we are doing, we are working with our members and with all the airports in the world and with all the supplier in our industry to develop a contactless application where the passenger will be able to upload his passport. He will be able to upload his picture, and then he will be able, of course, to do a data verification on his mobile phone, and the data will be stored only on the mobile phone. So one of the the idea that we have, or something that is really important for us, is that we don't want to send everywhere confidential information. We want that all the confidential information remains under the control of the passenger on his mobile phone. And what we want to do, we want to build a decentralized identity, and we will use blockchain for that. in order to push this data from the mobile phone of the passenger to all the partners that needs to be included in the workflow. So to simplify it, once you have loaded your passport on your phone, you will have a token that will be stored in a blockchain, and this token, for example, will be used by the governance authority, for example, the passport issuer, to enter record that will attest the validity of your passport. And if you need also to have a medical certificate, you will use also this decentralized identity also to update the blockchain with the record showing that, of course, you can travel safely. So all this chain will be, of course, in the blockchain, but the association between the token or your decentralized identity and your own identity will be done only on your cell phone. And with that, you will be able to go to the airport. You will be able to avoid to queue in order, to clear the border control, because everything will be done, remotely, contactless, within actually the blockchain. So it will allow also to regulate the flow in the airport, to avoid queues at the border controls or queues at the gate. And so it will also allow, to reduce the risk of contact between people, and of course to reduce the risk of contamination. And what IATA does in this role is not only working with the industry expert to define what will be the technology, what will be the protocol that we will use, but we are also working with all the stakeholders to define the governance, because you need to have a proper governance. Carlos, you know better than me that any blockchain is as good as the governance that you put on it. And so we are trying to address all the aspects of the innovation, not only the standards and the availability of this innovation globally in the world, but also the governance that will go with, provided that we IATA, we are acting at the global level. So we have to bring together all the regions of the world.